I think a smart approach when you're listening to content creators on the right, if they pop up on your page or you hear them in lives or you see them in the comments when they're talking about tariffs, so they're trying to stand for any of the policies that, Trump's put out there. Hear them as drunk people. And I mean that. I'm serious. You need to hear them as if they're intoxicated, because if you've ever sat near someone that's intoxicated and they go on these spiels of like, they get on a topic and they think they know it all and they've got it all figured out, and they're so sure of themselves, like they're absolutely certain. And then when it wears off, there's that embarrassment, like, what did I say last night? Did I talk? Oh God, I'm so sorry. Because when you get out of a cold, that's what it's like. It's like you've woken up from a bad night of alcohol or drugs that, you actually didn't ask for. They're just being given to you. You think you're asking for them, but you're not. You're being given, it's being slipped into your drink. Because I see them on here, like, they wholeheartedly believe the tariffs are going to bring back jobs. So they feel like they're doing a good thing, and they feel like it's going to work. And they've magically, because when you're drunk, you think you're making sense, and they think they're making sense. But when they talk about, all the jobs will come back. When we had the most manufacturing here, our millionaires paid a very different rate. Like, our standard of living was very different. So even if jobs came back, they don't want increases in wages, because they shouldn't do that to a company. So they'd be working these very difficult jobs for nothing. And I also think they don't think they themselves are going to work them. They think someone else is going to work those jobs. Maybe teenagers or people out of prison or something, but they just have this fantasy of what they think these jobs will do. And I don't know any Americans that are going to hop down there, but I think it's funny that it's being sold like the American dream's coming back. The American dream is working in factories? No. And then the things we do produce, which we are huge exporters in beverages and junk food. But part of why other countries like to buy that from us is, well, it's a brand thing, but it's also because we have our FDA that checks the food. And we have a better system than a lot of places, whether people know that or not. So, like China or different places, at one point, they wanted our baby formula because we had better checks and balances on that stuff, and we're losing all of that. So they're not going to want to import that, besides the fact they don't want our brands in their country. So the things we do produce, they're not going to want anyway. So I guess they think we'll work for nothing in these jobs because they don't want pay raises, because that would make things more expensive. But then we're all going to buy American. It's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like a drunk rant that doesn't make sense, because when you are in a cold, you are essentially being fed toxin, and it clicks off your logical thinking, and it just makes what the leaders say is true. And there doesn't have to be reason, there doesn't have to be logic, it doesn't have to make sense. Just like, God's coming and the earth is going to be renewed and everyone's going to get a new body, or whatever the cult is saying. Like, none of it makes sense, none of it could be proven, and it doesn't matter, because it's just going to happen magically. And that's what they're saying about the tariffs. I was a manufacturer here, and I also manufactured in China. So to me, watching this whole thing is, and I paid people very well that manufactured for me. I had a warehouse, and they worked in-house for me. But I knew I couldn't do that job. So I was very grateful for them, so I paid them well. But I don't expect the companies now to do that. They never have. So why would they start now? So that's what I'm saying. Look at them as drunk rants. And, if you have someone that's doing a drunk rant in front of you, do you try and fight them? Do you debate them? Or you just hope that eventually the alcohol is going to wear off? Because I really think that is the best tactic.